Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome back to another Sims 4 speedbuilding video. So in today's video I'm going to be building just kind of like another classic suburban house. Now I know my last video was actually of just kind of like a typical suburban house, but it's been a style that I've been really just wanting to build recently, and that is why my last video was one, and that is why today's video is one as well. So hopefully you guys don't mind. I've just been really obsessed with building in this style. So this is actually built on a 20 by 30 lot in Newcrest. Now normally whenever I build in Newcrest, I either build on this 20 by 15 lot, which is actually on the top of the map, or I will build here. And I'm not sure why, it's just I kind of love these two lots in Newcrest. I'm not sure what the other lot, the 20 by 15 is called, but if you ever see a 20 by 15 lot on my channel, guaranteed is probably on that lot in Newcrest. I just absolutely love it. But I don't actually have anything for my save file here yet, so I'm thinking I actually might make this house into my save file. I'm just not completely sure, only because in my save file I always have like the houses that are in the same neighborhood. So if you go into tab mode that you can see all the houses around, I always want them to be in the same style, and it's what I've done for Willow Creek and Oasis Springs and all the other worlds so far. And in this little neighborhood of Newcrest, this is actually where the two big lots are. I believe it's a 50 by 50 or a 50 by 40. I can't remember the lot sizes, but I do actually have a build already, which is kind of like a luxury modern build, which is for my save file. But I don't know whether to keep this lot in because I'm trying to make it so all of them look very similar, like all the lots were built at the same time, they had the same developers, and I'm not quite sure if I'm actually going to keep this in just because it's not the exact same style that the other one was built in. I'm just not too sure what I'm going to do with it for my save file. At the minute I'm thinking it probably will end up just being this, but I'm still not 100% certain, so I'm not going to say that this is going to be my save file because I still don't know myself yet. But for today's video I am just building this little 20 by 30 lot, and this is a 2-bedroom and 2-bathroom house. So there is a parent's bedroom, and then there's also a teenager's bedroom, and then there is 2 bathrooms. One of the bathrooms is actually an ensuite, so the parent's bedroom or the master bedroom does actually have an ensuite. In there it's just got like a shower, toilet and sink, and then there is also another bathroom in kind of like the main living area of the house, and in there you do just have a bath, shower, and then all the other toilet items that your Sims would need. I wanted there to be another bathroom though, just because I felt like a 2-bedroom 1-bathroom house on this size was just a little bit too small, and so I did squeeze in a little ensuite. But moving on, as you can see, the main structure of the house has already come together, and I'm already going in and doing the windows and doors. Now I did actually have a reference picture when I was building this. I always like to mention whenever I look at a picture or if I'm inspired by a picture, just so you guys know, but I did actually find one on Pinterest which I absolutely fell in love with. I'll put a link in the description box down below so you can go and check out the house that I was looking at. But the windows and doors are actually very similar to the one that I saw in the reference picture, and I absolutely love these kind of shutters on the windows. I really want if we could possibly have some separate shutters though for other windows, because I feel very limited whenever I see a house on Pinterest that I'm inspired by and I want to kind of recreate it in the game, but we don't actually have that many windows that have shutters on. Like my absolutely favorite windows are the ones that we have from Seasons. If you have been watching my channel for a long time, then you know that I use them in the most of my videos. I just absolutely love them ones, but the only thing with them, they don't actually come with any shutters, and so I hope that one day we could possibly get a pack that maybe has some shutters in, so it's like some separate shutters that are not actual windows, because in the game we do actually have some base game closed shutters, and you can put them on the exterior and then they'll look like the window has shutters, but then on the inside it is actually another window. So maybe one day we could get kind of like a build and buy pack. So it's just little things like that that would just really help me when I'm building sometimes. And I do absolutely love these base game windows that I've used. All the windows that I have actually used are from base game. They're just these really classic traditional looking ones with these black blinds, which I absolutely love. And I also use the doors that are from Strangerville. I use the one which kind of is like a, I think it's a 3 square or maybe a 2 square, like I'm talking about tiles not squares, at the front door. And then I also use one that's kind of in a similar collection for the back door. I absolutely love them doors that we got from Strangerville. I just think the Strangerville windows and doors that came in that pack is absolutely amazing. I'm not too fond of the build and buy, and whenever I do use Strangerville it normally tends to be for them doors, but I do actually love them doors, and I just felt like they went so perfectly with the windows as well. But as you can kind of see, I'm moving on and I'm doing the landscaping, and as you would have seen, I did actually already do the terrain painting. So in the reference picture that I was actually looking at, there was actually this really big kind of slope slopey driveway kind of thing, and I really wanted to recreate that. I wanted to do it with terrain paint though, because I knew that this house would actually be on a foundation, and whenever you move a foundation up, then the garage or the fake garage that I've created will also move up and it won't look very realistic. And so if you actually use the terrain paint, then you can just use the terrain manipulation, and then you can kind of move that so it looks as if the garage is on the floor, if that makes any sense. And so I did just use one of the ones that we got with Get Together. It's probably one of my favorite terrain paints to use for little pathways. And then I also did go around and do kind of like the mud or the dirt where I knew that I wanted the flower beds to be. I put 2 sections either side of the front door, and then I also put a section in front of kind of like the garage windows, which I've actually moved onto now. I absolutely love the way the landscaping looks in this house. I just think it's so lovely. And I use the graveyard trees, I believe they're called. They are some of my favorite trees, and I use them in the majority of my builds. And I use them quite a lot in this build as well. I just felt like it went really, really well with all the landscaping, and especially how tall the trees are, and it kind of just goes to the top of where the roof is. I just really, really like it, and I've really enjoyed landscaping this build. Like always, I didn't keep the landscaping in for the back garden, only because it's the exact same plants but just in different placements. I went for the exact same ones anyway. I didn't kind of mix up the flowers or anything. They're literally just the same thing, just in different placements, and I find that to be quite repetitive and it can get a little bit boring, so I did just decide to cut it out. But now I'm actually moving back on to just the little driveway area, and I'm just refining just that driveway just to make it look a little bit more perfect in a way. And I'm actually going to start off by actually using the terrain manipulation tool. So as you would have seen, I actually raised the foundation. I didn't want it to be too high just because I knew the driveway slope up to the garage would have to be a really, really big slope, and I didn't want that. So I didn't actually put too much foundation onto this house. And as you would have seen, I did actually just pull out one of my saved rooms from my library. I speak about this in the majority of my videos, but just in case you haven't seen them before, I basically went in one day and added a load of the debug menu items that I normally typically tend to use, placed them into a little room, saved it to my library, and then that way I don't have to turn on the new cheats to get all the debug menu items. And one of the new cheats that I think it's bb.show live edit objects, I can't remember it off by heart, but that is one of the ones that actually gives you access to all the ones in the world. One of the things in this world or in the world cheat is actually these cars, and it just saves me a lot of time just having to go through and scroll through and find all them items that I really wanted to use, like that car and stuff. And it's just really, really easy, and they're always accessible. But I did just place that little red car in front of the garage, and I kind of did it at an angle, so I was kind of thinking maybe a sim was driving home from work or doing whatever they was doing, and then they just kind of threw their car onto the drive, or not threw, drove their car onto the drive, and they didn't have perfect parking. And I just kind of wanted it to be at an angle so it looked a little bit more realistic instead of in a perfect parking spot. And now I'm actually just going around and actually doing the wallpapering for this house. I did that really, really late, and I'm not sure why. Normally that's one of the first things that I do. I would normally do it way before landscaping, but for some reason today I decided to do it at the very last minute, just before I started going in and actually doing the back garden, which I've now moved on to. So as you can kind of see, I did actually do a pull off camera. I just kind of created a rectangle, but I did that at the same time that I did the landscaping, and I felt like if I was going to cut the landscaping out and just add that little snippet of me putting the pull in, it would be a little bit odd. So I decided just to cut the little pull making footage out, if that makes any sense. And now I'm actually just moving on and doing some sunbeds. So I just did 3 sunbeds in front of the swimming pool. I was kind of thinking that 3 Sims lived here, maybe some parents and a teenager, and so that is why I just put 3. Obviously if you wanted more or less you can add or delete them. And then there is also a little barbecue area just behind them as well, so that I used the perfect patio, little dining room chair and table with the umbrella, and then I also just used a base game little barbecue as well. There isn't actually that much in this garden, only because it wasn't a very big size, but I still have a few gameplay activities for your Sims to do. There is some plant pots so your Sims can grow fruit and vegetables, maybe grow some flowers, whatever they want. There is obviously a barbecue as well, and there is also a little seating area just kind of like on the upper deck as well. So as your Sims walk out through the back patio doors, they can sit down somewhere. Maybe they want to sit in the shade and they don't want to lay on a sunbed. There is that bit over there as well. And now I'm actually just going back to the front of the house and just placing in the little mailbox as well, so your Sims have somewhere to collect their mail from in the morning. But now I'm actually moving on and I've started furnishing the inside of this house. So as always, I did the wallpapering and flooring off camera. That stuff takes me way too long to decide. I just ended up going for the same flooring that I tend to use. It's kind of like my favourite wooden flooring that we have in the game. It's actually a base game one, and then I went for this base game white wallpaper as well. I wanted the inside to be quite modern in this house, and so that's why I decided to go for them too. I actually started off by furnishing the lounge room as well, or the family room. So in here we do just have the little get together fireplace, and then we also have the city living curved TV as well just above that. I did decide to size it down though, only because I wanted the TV to be the same size as the fireplace, and it just looked a little bit odd having this really big TV and then such a small fireplace below it, so I did decide to just size that one down. I also did use the new Moschino sofas. I hope that's how you pronounce it. I'm really scared to say the word just in case I'm absolutely butchering the name, but I used the new sofas that we got in the new stuff pack, and with these sofas, I think it comes in either a 2 or 3 seater, I'm not actually quite sure, but it also comes in a matching armchair, and it is the most perfect sofa to merge together and create a corner sofa, which we currently don't actually have any of in the game, and so I merged these two in together, and I just absolutely love this new look of this new corner sofa. I'm so in love with it, and I'm probably going to be doing it in a lot of my new modern builds. I also do just use a little furry rug that we got from, I believe, City Living just below it. I went for the grey one. I felt like the white one was too overpowering with all the white in the room, and so I decided just to kind of contrast it a little bit and do a grey swatch of it as well. I also used the new painting that we got with the new stuff pack as well, just either side of the TV. I absolutely love that painting. I used just like the standard swatch that it comes in, and I just think it just ties that little area in all together. And now I'm actually just moving on. I just did the little dining room table. So the dining room is actually kind of in the hallway of the house, so the lounge room and the dining room is all kind of in the hallway. I didn't want to separate it off too much. I kind of wanted it to be a very open house. The dining room table is actually the one that we got in the cool kitchen stuff pack, and when I actually selected the swatch of the wood, it actually helped me determine what colour scheme I was going to go for in the kitchen, because they do actually have matching counters and matching tables and stuff, and so when I selected this colour of the dining room table, I kind of knew which colour I was going for in the kitchen after that. I also just used the same chairs that we got in the cool kitchen stuff pack as well. I just used them in a white swatch because it then kind of ties in the lounge room as well. But now I'm going in and I'm actually just cluttering up these shelves. Now there was actually this empty space in the wall, and I didn't want to just add a single picture frame or a photo. I felt like I wanted to do something extra than that, and so I did decide just to add some plain white shelves. And I initially went in only thinking that I was going to clutter them up a little bit and not go too over the top of the clutter, but that didn't really happen, and they ended up being quite cluttered shelves. I don't think there's actually an empty space on them shelves, but I like a little bit of realism and I like a little bit of clutter in my builds, so that will have to do. I also do just add some little shoes by the back door as well, and then I also do add the little cat scratching post. Now I did actually forget to put a litter box into this build when I was building it, but before this goes onto the gallery, I'll make sure to add one into the house, so if you do decide to download this house, then there is somewhere for your cat to go to the toilet. Whenever I do my builds, I always try to have some cat scratching posts and litter boxes and food bowls and stuff. Even if you don't have like dogs or cats or whatever, I still like the option for you to, if you do have them, to be able to move straight into the house. So if you do decide to download this and you don't want pets, you can just delete them kind of objects out of this house. But now I am actually moving on and I've started furnishing the kitchen. So in the kitchen, I actually had quite a big space for the kitchen, and I didn't actually want to have every single wall to have counters and cabinets on, just because where it was such a big kitchen, I felt like it would just be a little bit over the top, and so I actually only put counters and cabinets on one side of the wall. It's kind of like the main wall, and then I do have this massive breakfast bar in the middle as well. I just felt like it would look a little bit strange if I had a kitchen of this side with so many different counters and cabinets, and so I only decided to make it this big. I do actually add a little coffee area into the back corner, which we'll see in a minute. I just didn't want to have cabinets all around the walls. I just felt like it would look a little bit odd. I do just use the cool kitchen ones. Like I said, they match the dining room table, and it kind of just went in really well together, and it just looked really nice that the dining room table actually matched the kitchen. I also use matching bar stools, the chairs that I actually use in the dining room table as well. They're just plain white plastic looking chairs, but I really like them. And now I'm actually just adding some shelves above the fridge area, because one thing that I don't like about cabinets and the fridge, that normally when they meet, the cabinets will clip into the fridge, and so normally what I do is I add just a load of just cookery items like jars and books and photo frames on top of the fridge, but today I actually decided to put some shelves up there instead and just kind of switch up a little bit. Now I'm actually just moving on to the other side of the room. I had that painting that we got with, I believe it was Dine Out. I absolutely love that painting, and I love that this room is very black, white and grey, and then it's got this massive pop of colour from that painting. It's actually quite an odd painting because I have never actually had eggs with oranges, but I mean whatever floats your boat. But anyway, this is actually where I do the little coffee area in the corner. So I actually use these shelves above, which are from Cool Kitchen Stuff as well, so they come in the matching woods, and I was kind of thinking all them different like little pots and jars and stuff could be different sorts of coffees and teas. And then I do actually add these little coffee maker items in as well. You have the one where you can kind of grind down the coffee beans, and then the actual coffee maker, and it's just kind of in the corner. And I do just add some little sachets as well, so your Sims can kind of pick out what they want. But now I am actually moving on, I'm doing the bathroom. So like I said, there is actually 2 bathrooms in this house. I only decided to show this one though just because I felt like it's really repetitive, and the other one is really small as well. In this bathroom I just use the spa day counter counters, and then I also use, I believe it's a Fitness Stuff shower. It comes in this really nice grey swatch, which I knew would match the bath that I ended up using. So the bath that I ended up using is one that you have from Spa Day, and I believe the toilet as well is from Spa Day, and then I just use a Spa Day tile on the floor and the kind of wallpaper as well. It's all very matchy, and I really like that. And I do actually just finish off this room by adding in a little Fitness Stuff rug just by the bathtub, so it's just kind of like a little bath mat. But now I am actually moving on and I've started furnishing the bedrooms. So I started off with the teenager's bedroom. In here, I imagine this teenager was really into music and bands and stuff, and so one of the first things I actually placed was these posters, which I believe are from Parenthood, just above the bed. And they looks like it's got a band on there, it's got some headphones, it's got a guitar, it's got all kind of posters that look like they are something to do with music. I did them above this cats and dogs bed, and then I also add this little rug, which is also from Cats and Dogs, which I believe the pattern of the rug is actually a very similar, if not the same pattern that's on the bedspread. So I decided to use that one just to kind of make that little area look a little bit more cozier. I also add this little ottoman, which I believe is actually a city living one, and I liked that one because it looks like it's got different kind of books in, and I was kind of thinking that maybe they are all these teenagers kind of school books and studying books and reading books and all that kind of stuff. And I actually play around with that little area for quite a while. I use the red shelf to kind of move objects to the height of it and then kind of put some books on there. I actually throw a little school bag in front of it. I was kind of thinking that the teenager would come home from school and maybe just throw their homework on that little ottoman, and in the end I do actually decide to switch it up though. So I actually ended up switching it for the new, I believe it's a guitar case that we actually got with the new stuff pack. And because I was thinking that this sim who lived in this room was actually really into music, I felt like that just suited it better. So you will see me in a minute after I carefully place these objects onto a bit. I do actually decide to change my mind and switch up to be that little guitar case. But I do also have a little computer into this room as well. This is the only computer in the house. I didn't actually think about adding a family computer when I was building this, but then I was kind of thinking that maybe if you do want to have an extra computer for the parents or something, then you could definitely just buy a laptop from the build and buy mode and then use it on the dining room table or maybe in the breakfast bar in the kitchen. But I am just finishing up that little study area just where the computer desk is. I add some of the Parenthood kind of like skateboards and stuff, music posters, kind of make it look a little bit more like a teenager's room. And this is actually where I decided to switch out that ottoman for this little kind of guitar looking case. I don't think your Sims can actually sit on this though, because it is actually in the tables category. I believe it falls under coffee tables, but they might be able to. If they can't, then there is still a bed for your Sims friends to sit on when they come around or whatever. But moving on, I've started furnishing the last bedroom in this house. So this is the parents' bedroom. In a minute you will actually see me go back into kind of like the lounge living room, and I do actually add some shelves because I wasn't really liking the way that the fireplace area was looking. But this is actually the last room that I'm fully furnishing in this house. So I actually went for the vintage Glamour bed, and then I actually use these get to work tables. Now normally I use the same like 3 or 4 bedside tables on rotation, and I just kind of wanted to switch up a little bit, and so I decided to use these get to work ones. They actually come in a really nice black swatch, and so I thought they'd go well with this little vintage Glamour bed as it was kind of in a similar swatch. I also do add some little chest of drawers into this bedroom as well. I use the base game ones. I never really know what to use when I use this bed, and I normally try and switch it up a little bit, but I always feel like I go for the same ones anyway. I use these IKEA looking ones. They are from base game. I always consider them to be IKEA chest of drawers because there is actually some chest of drawers and bedside tables and wardrobes from IKEA that you can actually buy that look exactly like this, so I always refer to them as the IKEA looking ones. I do just clutter that up though with a little kind of like folded shirts and some perfume and books and stuff, and then I actually add these cats and dogs paintings above it, and I actually use 4 of these paintings and move them together so it looks like all one big painting. I really like this, and I haven't actually done this in any of my builds for quite a long time. I have done it before, but I always tend to forget about it sometimes, and so I thought it would be a really nice thing to add into this room. I also do add this little seating area on the other side of the chest of drawers as well. I use the little armchair that we've got with Island Living. It's just kind of like this black and white mesh one, which I thought went really nicely in this room. I also do just finish it up though with adding this little rug that we got from the new stuff pack, and then I'm actually going back to the little lounge room, and like I said, I wasn't really liking the way that this fireplace area was looking, and so I decided to add these plain white modern shelves and just kind of clutter that little area below the TV up a little bit more, and I just prefer the look of it. But anyway guys, I am actually going to end this voice over here, so as always I hope you guys enjoyed watching me build this little classic suburban family home, and as always if you do like my content then please subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in my next Sims 4 speedrunning video. Bye guys.